Um, it was 2016, like the summer of 2016, and I'm kind of seeing the writing on the wall with the election that was happening at that time, and or coming up, and I figured there are some home buyer programs that I probably should be trying to take advantage of right now before some policies go into place that might change things. All right. So I'm a single father. You know what I'm saying? My son, I believe, my son, single digits at the time, is running around with me, and he's hearing me like say like, "Oh, I want to buy a house. I'm looking at different places. I want to see what's up, right?" And I'm just like looking on websites and thinking, "Okay, I got to get out of my mom's house. I've got to like make something happen." I'm 30 something at this point because I don't want to age myself right now, but I'm like something has to shake, and so I start making some of those decisions to start moving forward, right? I'm like, all right, I got a good job, work in public health, saving my money. I start saving some money. I sign up for this savings program that would help, and they match like my money and whatnot. And I'm like, all right, we good. Let me like see what's up, right? And I'm just looking at the prices for homes, right, in the DC area. And I'm like, there's no way that I can afford any of this, right? Because I'm making, what was it, like at the time, 50,000 barely, you know what I'm saying? Like barely scraping that. And then plus tax, like once tax comes out, you know, how are you supposed to pay for anything? And I'm looking, so I'm like, all right, I would like to buy a home, but do I get an apartment? Like, what do I step back to that? And then I looked at apartment prices and was like, anything that's like 2-bedroom and in an area that I'd be interested in being in is anywhere between $1,500 to $200. I mean $2,000, and I'm like, how can I make this happen? And so a few things happened. Somebody came to me and was like, hey, there's this first time home buyers program called HPAP, right? That you need to look into and like come with me to this meeting, right? Went to this organization called Lydia's House, right? Lydia's House wasn't too far from my home at the time, from my mom's home. And the people there were like really like, I won't say militant, but they were very direct. They were like, don't come to this program if you're going to be on some BS, right? Don't sit in here and waste our time because we're going to make sure that when you leave here, you are ready and in position to buy a home. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not on some BS. I'm ready. Like, let's move, right? So I sit through the 8-hour course and then come back for the other 2 different sessions, and then do all the money saving programs, and then I do all that stuff, right? I hit all their criteria. They say pay off your outstanding credit issues, right? So I'm like, oh man, this Singular Wireless bill from 2001 never got paid. Let me put the $90 on that that's been holding my credit back. You know, you never realize it's those really small things that like really get in the way and they build up. And you'll be like, they're holding me back for like $15? Like for real? But that's some of the stuff that you don't know until somebody like whispers in your ear like, hey, guess what? There's a system. These are all part of that system. And if you're not paying off those bills, then this is going to keep you from being able to move forward. So that's part 1, right? Was the friend who was like, hey, Dwayne, like, come with me. Then part 2, the folks who guided me through getting my credit right. Because I was part of a union at the time, I was able to get connected with a really dope dude by the name of Tom, who was my real estate agent. And Tom was like, we gonna find you a home, right? And like, from everything that I saw watching like different TV shows and talking to people about real estate agents, they would be like, hey, like, you know, your real estate agent is cool, but like they try and get the money too. So like be cautious of the conversations. And so the conversations that I was having though weren't like really those type of convos. It was more like, hey, so like, how's your son doing? Like, you know, like what, You know, like I know you travel back and forth between DC and Baltimore. How's that affecting the fam? Like how's everybody doing? Like and like there seemed like a sense of concern there. And that was really real important for me too, was hearing that somebody actually cared who was sitting in my corner and helping me look at these homes. So that was a note. You know, not to inflate your head or anything, but you know, it's true. And so we go into, I remember one home, it was off of Minnesota Avenue. We walk into this home. I'm like, all right, you know, I like the size of it. It's got like cool door situation, but the steps coming up to it were kind of not, they were a bit in disarray, I'll say. And so I'm like, all right, that's a flag. All right, cool. And I'd done some research. I knew like, all right, I need to check the windows. When I run the water in the sinks, hear if there's anything funny. But we get in the door and I don't get to do any of that because as soon as we cross the threshold, there is a dead bird. I don't know if y'all heard me. There was a dead bird inside the house as soon as we walked in. So I'm like, okay, canary in a coal mine. Okay, I get it. I understand what's happening here. Few steps, but I'm like, all right, now we here. I want to see how deep does this rabbit hole go. So we walk a little bit further in, and there's it was like a hole in the living room where like if you step a little bit too hard, you probably would go through. We go further down. We actually go down to the basement. You can see that the whole HVAC system had been ripped out. Likely by somebody who was selling the system for steel, because like you know, that's something a lot of folks don't know is like you know if it's a vacant place, like you know folks will flip the steel for money. Anyway, that was not the house. We keep searching, right? And so we're searching until January. So we started our search in 2017, and we go visit a spot, I want to say February 2018. And it's not too far from here. It was the perfect location. It is far enough from my mom that she can't walk to me, but close enough that I can walk to her. Know what I'm saying? Like, I need to go ahead and get a quick meal. Let me go visit my mom real quick. But also, I need to get away from my family. Let me go back home type of thing, right? So perfect location. There's a playground across the street that Darius and I might go to. Honestly, still haven't gone to this day. But like it's available, right? And so it's perfect location. Everything is great. Walk in there. We do all the checks. And it passes my vibe check. I'm like, okay, this is great. So we call an inspector, and the inspector comes in, and he's like, look, I understand that you want to move in, right? And I hear the urgency in your voice. I get that. But there's some things that I can let fly, you know? And then there's some things that you got to fix. Because if you don't put an electrical cap on that socket, then you might die. And I cannot let that happen, right? Especially if you're moving in with a child. And I was like, okay, cool. And so he gave like a laundry list about like 7, 8 things that needed to happen so that it could pass inspection. And then other things that in due time, go ahead and get this fixed. Like little window stuff, like you can open it, but it's a little hard type of thing. That's on the second floor. Don't worry about that, right? So we go through, and Tom looks at me dead in the face, and he goes, Dwayne, you want to move in here? Yes. All right, roll your sleeves up. Let's go to Home Depot and a few other little stores and see what's going on. And so we go in, we buy all these things, and I'm like, well, who's going to fix it? He's like, well, you homeowner. And Tom like teaches me some basic electrical work. Like he taught me how to put the caps on all this stuff, how to install a light into like just the hole in the ceiling. He taught me how to like put that in. And it's like, these are the types of things that like you usually, a lot of us are running to YouTube for. But having somebody actually take the time, and this isn't about him just selling a home, but about helping a person get a home. Know what I'm saying? It became less about money and it became about humanity. And that meant a whole lot. It still does to this day. So yeah, fix the stuff. We pass inspection, and then the bank is like, all right, well now we need them to send this. The appraisal adjustment so that we can close. And if we don't close in this time, the seller is like, nah, we need to sell by this day, or otherwise I'm canceling it out. And we're like, all right, time is ticking. Let's hope. And on April 20th, 2018, we closed on my home, right? And I say that to say it wasn't about like, my solid job that I had. It wasn't about being the poet host person that I am. It was about having a system, right? And recognizing that there's a system that we as individuals and regular folks, we're coming into to try to navigate. And if we don't have a system that we build, like the community and the system that we build to work with us, then we do not succeed. And so I'm grateful to my system that was able to help me succeed, and I'm glad to share information to help others and be part of their system too. Yeah.